Okay. 3. I did that at my college radio station, and everybody keeps laughing at it. The teachers love passing by and seeing that. It's great. Welcome to another episode here of Hardway, a pro wrestling story brought to you by none other than all three of us. What's going on, everybody? My name is Maverick. I have something prepared. Here we go. Wrestling fans, one and all, welcome to Hardway, a pro wrestling story. The show that ChatGPT so far has described as, quote, a squash match on repeat, the best way to turn the most hardcore mark into a casual fan, and to me, that's fair. My name is Maverick. Starting, and as always, with me as always, we're on this side. No, we're on this side. To my left. Here, I got one for you, Blaine. A man whose job right now is to make sure he says "shop smart, shop S smart" just at the right quote, ladies and gentlemen. Bullet Blaine Davis. How many? Go ahead.
Hail to the king, baby. I only talk in Evil Dead quotes now.
Are you gonna talk in Are you gonna sing in Evil Dead quotes? That's gonna be the next challenge.
You got to pay for a ticket.
Is that the? That's not a no. And
hey, what's up? What's up, Hardway? No. Come on, that guy.
And to my right, the man who is such a good heel. I think that as of the last episode, I'm actually convinced that he somehow set up an implant inside of Blaine's head, because he was just on the same page reading his thoughts all week long, all show long, ladies and gentlemen. The business, Lawrencetown's business. Who did you pay off?
Well, I am good friends with Mr. Musk, but that's you didn't hear it from me.
And
I only have it's a really small scar right here.
Is it just a little incision? Just little. But yeah.
Well, I have been called a little prick, but that's neither here nor
there. Oh, damn. But yeah, if it's your first time listening, quick rundown of what the show is about. Everyone's got their random wrestling stories, but today on this episode of Hardway, a pro wrestling story, we're going over AEW All In 2024. I almost said 2016. I don't know why I was thinking about that. But yeah, the show
reminded you so much of Backyard Wrestling, which was a very popular thing in 2016.
We had a conversation in the car. All right, we're gonna give this thing a chance. God damn it.
But yeah, But with the show All In 2024, great show, 50,000 strong, almost selling out the setup there. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. It was actually in the morning this time around. They didn't just wait until late in the day to show it. They showed it live at 10 a.m. our time, about 1 p.m. Eastern time. So
the amount of women that I had to kick out of my house because they showed it this early in the morning, it was absolutely a travesty.
The best part is I was waiting outside with an open door, so they all got a ride home, brother.
Ah, gotcha. There you go. See,
Bullet's my Happy Hogan these days.
There you go. So, of course, All In had their 0 hour. There was their 16-man battle royale. I did not happen to watch that. I caught this a little bit later. Did either of you catch the battle royale?
No. I was anything from the pre-card. There's nothing that I watched. If we're gonna go over that stuff, we're gonna have to do that on a different show.
Well, I mean, it's only a couple of matches, but yeah, it's fine.
Well, it's a couple of matches, but if you haven't seen them,
yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, that's fine. We'll go ahead and start it off here with the main.
Why don't you give us the finishes to each match, and we'll tell you what we at least.
That's what I'm pulling up. That's what I'm trying to pull up right now. Is to get those results for that here. One sec here. All In 2024 pre-show. 0 hour results. Okay. So, participants in this match, in the Battle Royal match, Leo Rush, both members of Top Flight, Action Andretti, Rocky Romero, Kyle Fletcher, Kip Sabian, Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, John Silva, Dark Order, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, Ari Daivari, Anthony Gogo, and this one it does not say who. It doesn't say who won. Great, that's good.
You know what though? With the amount of
I'm sorry. It's a tag team match, 60-man tag team match. My fault. But the team with Leo Rush, Top Flight, and all them, they won that in 11.5 minutes. So,
well, I'm gonna go on a wild limb here, and based on the style and organization of the company, I'm gonna say that whoever won doesn't really matter. But the amount of there's a lot of talent in that match. A lot of people, obviously, if it's on their pre-show, people that they're trying to bring up and see who's worth their time, whatever that means for AEW. But the fact that those people are finding work and being able to get seen and get paid, there are a lot of names on that list that I would like to see somewhere on a card being paid regular for an angle. So I'm just gonna say that's positive.
Yeah, and to me,
love him or hate him, you had a Dynamite Kid Jr.
Exactly, and to me, like you're in like a big show, so you're booking as many people as you can on the card at a time. So getting big matches like this just fills out your roster a lot. So, but yeah, go ahead, Blaine. You were talking about Dynamite Kid's son. Like, that's crazy.
Just they're in the UK. It was the right time to put him on a stage, even if he's green. And his dad, well, maybe not with the best sort of outside reputation, his in-ring reputation is, top of the list. So right. I'm excited to see what his kid brings to the table. He looks a lot like him, but a little bit less like not quite a full. So I think they got something.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in my head. I'm thinking about what's another company bringing a European star over pretty soon in a match that's going to get them great exposure. And I wonder what the billings are going to be for that. So just curious why one's on the undercard and one is the main event. But, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. This is just one of those matches that like they just wanted to put people in the ring for like a couple of minutes. Yeah. It was only 11.5 minutes. So like they just wanted to get some time in there to put them over.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
It was 11.5 minutes with how many people as in the card?
16.
In the match?
16
people. So I'm not even going to do that math. That's
less than a minute each, and that's like in
AEW. That's so you get your 7 high spots each is what you get in that match. Everyone, just pick your top 7 high spots, and then we go home.
Yeah, really.
What was the next match? Everyone's right. The talent to be there was amazing, and also the match didn't mean a thing, nor was the finish memorable. It was just too many people too fast.
Overbooked, yeah, really. Willow Nightingale defeat and Tomohiro Ishii defeat Chris Statlander, Stokely Hathaway. Of course, we knew. I knew that was going to be one that was very predictable. 8 minutes 10 seconds. Yeah, that happened. Enjoyable match, nice, but it's another throwaway there.
The crowd.
It was over with the crowd. Yeah, that was kind of like the only storyline match of the pre-show that happened.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, that was something they were building up on Rampage and Collision a little bit, but I don't understand why myself, but that's okay.
And Statlander,
there wasn't why, but it did happen.
Yeah, another positive I'll pull is that Statlander, I think she still has a lot to offer and a lot more to sort of explore, but she's well trained, she's really, really talented. Like, I don't think anything's quite lined up for her right, and that could be her problem, not a story writer problem, but she's over, but she needs whatever that next pivot for her is needs to be big, because she has everything it takes to be at that Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks,
I agree with you. Her big pivot should be, to be working against Jade Cargill, but that would take another jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And sorry, I said Sasha twice. What I meant was that, in that sort of challenge bracket of the higher end,
right?
Female competitors, because Chris Statlander is that good. She just hasn't quite caught on.
And it's hard to catch on when you're in such a good division that you have so many other talented wrestlers. It's getting easily oversaturated. I think.
Yeah, I won't deny you there are the talent in the women's roster is there. Again, we run into the same problem that I was talking about. We said last week a million times: is good talent horribly booked, right?
Exactly.
So, though I'm not saying that's necessarily true about this tag match. That actually sounds like it was booked at least pseudo sanely. But like you said, I don't have any idea why that angle was there. What was the what was the payoff if who won? What was the payoff if somebody else won? But they were setting it up on the TV. So who knows?
Right. Next match on the card here, Dustin Rhodes, Katsuyori Shibata, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erichs, Ross and Marshall, taking on the team of the Cage of Agony and the Undisputed Kingdom members, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. This one, I thought I had it scrolled up. Scrolling down. And Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, Shibata, and the Von Erichs win 11 minutes, 10 seconds there. And then what do you guys think about I still love the fact that the Von Erichs are just the best going into it.
Yeah, I'll probably go back and watch that match, to be honest with you, just to see what kind of exposure the Von Erich boys are getting.
Same, actually. I should go back.
It's not surprising to me at all that Dustin would want to be in that match to help bring them along. So hopefully they make the jump from undercard to top card. But hopefully by the time they're there, someone's there as a booking agent. There was a moment in the show that comes later on when JR becomes prominently featured in the commentator spot. And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, look, the booking is changing." Like I was just like, "Man, the booking agent, the matches is suddenly talking." It still wasn't without its problems, but hopefully with JR taking a more prominent role on the mic, he's taking a more prominent role in the back as well.
Well,
that was a tangent from what we were talking about, but I didn't see the fucking match, so
right.
Yeah, no, that this was another one where I saw a couple pictures. I heard what happened because I caught it late. It makes complete sense for Dustin to be waving that flag for Texas wrestling.
It was really good to see. Yeah, it's good to have that kind of tradition brought back.
And I would say that he holds down the sort of holds the torch for being an older guy that puts people over versus what our friend Chris Jericho.
Yeah, we'll get to him later for sure.
Match one on the real card. Now let's go to where we've actually watched it.
Before we get to the real card, just want to make sure we report that Jamie Hayter did make her return during the pre-show. Everyone lost their shit over that. Great moment there. First match on the card, the team of Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac defeat House of Black, the Patriarchy, and the Bang Bang Gang to win the AEW Trios titles. And my God, it's about damn time Pac won at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, to me that means nothing. But that's again, I've spoken before about following. I mean, that very well could mean something to AEW fans. It doesn't mean anything to me. What is the only thing that's good about all that to me is the setup that they're headed towards with Christian later on.
Right.
This is what starts off everything that you were about to see later on. The House of Cards kind of falling down and desperation making good bedfellows out of opportunity. I think that's what if you're going to kick off the show and you're not going to let anybody in on the secret yet, I think this is the way to go.
I agree. I liked a lot of that match. The thing that really irritated me throughout that match, why were there so many short ladders in that ring? If it was a ladder match, wouldn't you want to be able to reach the damn belts? I mean, am I the only one? And thankfully they found one later on, but then it was too damn big. So
yeah.
I mean, maintenance. I'm only 6'1", and I'm taller than 90% of the AEW roster.
Right, so that's exactly it. Like they're all like my height.
Set a lower bar, get lower ladders. We can all just have some fun together. No,
actually, that's not bad. I'm 5'7". If my opponent were you and you got a shorter ladder, then I wouldn't be able to reach on my tippy toes.
No,
that could have been strategy. That could have been legit strategy.
But no,
we had the conversation in the car. Damn it, they tried really hard. All right, here we go.
But the match was.
It reminded me of the Lawrence you mentioned, like Monday Raw, like Monday Night Raw or Nitro in like '97, where the opening act would introduce something and they'd pay it off in the second or third hour.
Sure.
And they pulled that off, like, which is saying a lot for a company that's not famous for its, perfect booking of everything.
Yeah, they managed to pull off a minor minor payoff equivalent to a low budget mid '90s live television taping. That's what they managed to do tonight.
Hey,
that's saying a lot. That's a big step forward.
That was Chekhov's Christian. All right, if you're going to introduce an angry Christian in the first act, you got to pay it off in the third.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next match on the card here, the biggest anticipated match for the entire card, I would say, Mariah May winning the AEW Women's World Championship against Toni Storm. The intro to this with Ben Mankiewicz, that he's such a natural doing the voiceover for that. And Let's Make Cinema was so perfect. I love that. The hip attacks. I don't know why I cringe so much. Well, actually, I do know why, because like the whiplash from those hip attacks that both her and Mariah May did just cringed me out. It was so like the impact alone was definitely scary to watch, but the entire match alone was funny. It was epic. It was exactly what I think this match was going to provide for 100%. Yeah,
this was the only match on the card that to me felt like beginning, middle, and end, an actual fight. As being me, I'm going to complain about the fact that they took the belt off of that the heel lost Tony, so quickly. Yeah. I think Storm could have gone on, and this could have been a much longer angle than they made it. And so that's my only nitpicking. But I do think of all of the matches on the card, this was the only one that was worth the price of admission. As far as from what I'm from where I sit, I just think that when the bell rang, my first thought was, why did you end it so quickly? Like you really I mean, if everyone was into this match, the crowd was actually up and into this match. So why go home? Why give them the payoff right now? I mean, you can stack this thing everywhere. But they've proven time and time again that they're really not there to make money. They just want to do what they want to do. They don't need the cash. So they did it. They got the pop, whatever. But yeah, it was a good match. It was very hard hitting. You don't have to tell me about the cringing about the shots, brother. I know what it's like.
They're the hardest hitting women on the whole roster, from what I could tell.
Yeah,
what's more with that with Toni Storm's character, and unfortunately she was sort of almost an Australian breakdancer level bad with Saraya the other night, because she's done a great job with what's old is new.
Yeah.
And using things like hip attacks and hip attacks, arm drags, hip tosses, leg locks, like very, very like early. Like she's not just paying homage to women's wrestling from like the 60s and 70s. She's proving that there's a reason why they did a few things really, really hard and really well.
Yeah.
And that's because they're incapacitating. That's because when you get slammed with a big old butt like that right on the side of your head, like you're not
getting up for a minute.
You're not going to be standing straight when you come back from it.
Right.
And I feel bad that a little bit of her creativity and her pulling from the old school was kind of, the spot got blown up a little bit last week because Saraya kind of couldn't sell the spots in the right way. It takes your opponent, and
I agree with you 100% on that. In fact, watching that, there was a phrase that it's not a phrase unique to him, but a phrase that my trainer Ed used to say constantly, which was, "Kid, you got to dance with the one who brung you." And it's like, if you're there and the person who's more over works this way, it reminded me of Goldberg and Steve Regal.
Yeah.
Because you're just not able to. The person in the ring doesn't know their spot, and they're not necessarily going into business for themselves. They just don't know what business is, and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and so they end up ruining the angle. But yeah, I agree with all those points. I just thought that this match in particular was the best produced match on the card by far.
No, and Tony's stuff tonight in this match was much tighter. I mean, I think part of it too is, we can talk about, dancing with your partner properly, but also, when it sort of devolves into a fight and somebody is approaching it with something that's really unorthodox.
Yeah.
And not seen frequently, good a dance partner as you could dream of. Sometimes, like, if the opponent knows you're right-handed, try approaching with the left. And you throw them off in different ways. So there's some merit to what Tony is doing. It's not just waving her hat at Mae Young and everything. I think there's a part of the fact that some of the people in her division aren't ready for some stuff that they should have learned in their first 6 months of training.
Yeah, I completely see it that way too. And also let anybody who thinks that she's just paying homage and et cetera, stand in the ring and say that. I mean,
yeah,
she'll knock your face off, man. And she'll have you on the ground before you know what you're saying. Before you know what you're doing. She is a top tier performer.
And some of us are into it.
Yeah. I mean, there's an audience.
All right, what was our next match, man?
Next match on the card here after that great match. Another wild match that I was actually surprised was as good as it was. Hook regaining the FTW championship from the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. I put in the our group chat that Jericho's stomach looks like mashed potatoes in my mom's Tupperware containers.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Shout out to whoever added the heart monitor for Hook's theme at the beginning there. That was actually a cool little tribute to Taz there.
That's true.
During the match, Jericho brought out a bag full of cricket balls. What'd you guys think of the use of the cricket balls and Hook pulling out the cricket bat?
You know what we're gonna say, Brian.
You know what we're gonna say.
You know what we're gonna say. I got the brain chip.
I know.
This was some of the most stupid bullshit I have ever seen in my life. I just can't even. It's like each one of those cricket balls contained a good match from Chris Jericho's former career, and he rolled them all out onto the mat just to piss all over them.
Granted, this is the same angle.
I just see.
This is the same angle that used hockey pucks, sticks, pool cues, billiard balls, and trash cans.
Is he fucking Casey Jones?
Legit. I don't know. Like this.
You don't know what you got to know what a crumpet is to ever play cricket.
Yeah. What am I, a crumpet?
No, but I mean, seriously, it's supposed to be a sloppy hardcore match, right?
Well, yeah, FTW rules, ECW style match, yeah.
Right, but what about that was the ECW style at all?
Well, the weapons for one, they've used funny weapons before.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be a serious feud, right? And the only reason to bring out cricket balls is because smart marks in the audience know that if you actually get dropped on one of those fuckers, it's going to hurt like a son of a bitch. And that's exactly what we saw. And so for the 5 people in the front row, they're smart enough to know that. Those guys got a show that they should love. And I don't even know why you would love that, because everything else we do in the ring hurts like a motherfucker anyway. You're just convinced because you've never seen cricket balls before, or just from living life that falling on a cricket ball is going to hurt.
See, we were picturing the opposite. We were picturing the opposite. We were picturing he gets dropped on one of those cricket balls mid-spine and all of a sudden stands up and he's like 2 inches taller again and not like hobbling, just extreme chiropractics.
I think he had all those cricket balls because he keeps them in his pants to push up his hernia truss.
Yeah.
Oh God!
I cannot.
Did he wear a corset at one time too?
I'm reaching for jokes to try and like find something good accidentally to say about this match. And I think honestly, you could not screen copies of it near an open flame in the future. Like it is just that bad.
I personally disagree here though, because this is the same AEW that used that had Kota Ibushi on a bicycle. It had
well, like, those were all fucking great ideas.
Those were amazing ideas and hilarious. And especially if it's a promotional game, the promotional thing for a video game too, that was perfect. But I could see how purists would expect more traditional barbed wire, thumbtacks, trash cans, tables, ladders, chairs, oh my, that whole bit. But I like the idea of having like unorthodox weapons, something that you wouldn't normally see in a match, in a match with that kind of like consequence. So having cricket balls, having hockey pucks, utilizing the local sport of the region, I thought was a great idea, because in that way, because you're right, Blaine, you said it, when you fall on those balls, it's gonna hurt like a bitch. It sucks. It doesn't, but I mean, everyone's gonna know.
Who cares? But who cares? And I get that you want to use something from the region. There's a lot of fucking polo players there too. Now, why not bring out a polo whip, which you can actually work with, which is gonna make a sound, which is gonna look fucking killer, by the way.
Yeah, bring
why
a
not
horse.
do something that's not just there for the 3 marks in the audience that have ever tripped and fallen on a fucking polo ball? I mean, I just don't get it. I also don't get. I mean, yes, it's a hardcore match. Like you said, barbed wire and shit. I don't want that either. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
So that's what I was going to jump back to.
That's horrible too.
That's what I was going to jump back to. Was it you mentioned that them using unorthodox sort of weapons and ideas, and my whole thought from the beginning was this match would have probably been really good without. It's sure the FTW title, right? So they have to do something with that, but. Like Chris Jericho can still wrestle, and Hook is a decent little talent when it comes to doing what he does well. And that honestly, just a match between them without everything else probably to me would have been more compelling.
You want to see hardcore matches with unconventional weapons? Go watch some stuff with like Dick the Bruiser or fucking. Rowdy Piper, go watch some of the street fights between Buddy Rose and Rowdy Piper. Hating to toot my own horn here, but just you will see parking lot brawls with unconventional weapons where people get absolutely murdered, and the fucking cricket balls. Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ!
You started us off on the wrong question. I could have pointed out a couple good things, but now the cricket balls were done. Next match.
I thought. Well, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think sometimes it could be a little overboard, but I don't know. At least
what happens here is that the AEW fans, they all become apologists. Like everything, it's like, well, yeah, I can see why this is bad, but here's why it's also good. It's like the Christians that come to my door like once a month and they want to talk to me, and they're no longer the Mormons from like back in the day that would just give you the hard sell. Now they're all like, well, let's see how does Jesus relate to you? And we know we're sorry for everything else, but here's a cricket ball, and please accept this into your heart with a bump. Like I don't fucking get it. I don't know who it was for. I think it was a fucking gag on the audience that paid the money to see it, and I just think
it was a gag.
It's just Chris Jericho pissing on the business some more. That's all.
In one bit of good news, Hook is not blind in his other eye.
That's true.
Right.
We just need to make sure that was a work. Next match on the card, you guys probably just want to skip this one. The Young Bucks retain over FTR and the Acclaim for the AEW tag titles.
I mean, we don't have to skip it. I didn't see anything in it that I didn't expect to see. Right? There was the Young Bucks can still go. No one's ever taking that away from them. They go too much sometimes, and then when they need to go, they go a little too little. But I wasn't surprised they kept the belts either. was anybody fucking surprised that they walked out of there with the belts? I don't think so.
No, not at all. I thought the same thing. I thought that, I mean, it was predictable. They're just gonna milk the EVP thing until at least Kenny Omega comes back. So having them keep the titles until then makes sense to me. Where'd it go? I like the little there was a funny thing they were talking about where the attire for FTR kind of clashed with one of the Acclaims, actually both of the Acclaims outfits. They're all four of them are pink and black. It was kind of funny, but nothing really stood out to me on that one personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's nothing I wouldn't normally say bad. Like they're just booking notes that I have for a match. But the problem is when the Bucks themselves, who came up as being the people who broke all the rules and were the ones that you were excited to see because they were non-predictable, have become very predictable. And maybe there is a purpose to that. That could be a booking thing that I'm just not seeing because we haven't gotten the payoff yet. But I still think if you're the Bucks, you want to make a splash. Even if you're heels, you want to make a splash, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, I think it's predictable is a fitting word. It's also hard to say something. I've seen the Bucks do so much egregious things that as far as a match goes, you have FTR in there who are two of the smartest guys in the business. You have the Acclaimed in there who they're younger, but they've put in a lot of time since they started at Creative Pro in New York. Sure. And then you have the Bucks, and it didn't offend me, so I think it's probably its biggest selling point right now. But also there was a few bits of really good, teammate distraction. And or this person teaming up with that person and doing a little bit of sort of crossover in their move sets that pop the people who follow them closely, but they did it clean. It didn't look like it was falling apart. It didn't look as inorganic or like choreographed as a lot of their stuff can look. So I feel better about this match than I thought I would, and that's to say I thought it was okay.
Maybe that's actually how you keep the Bucks wrestling half decently. You just keep them tired from having to run the show backstage. And then when they get in the ring, they're just too tired to fucking do anything stupid.
Speaking of the Young Bucks, speaking of the Young Bucks, if you're a new watcher, make sure to super kick the like and subscribe button.
Right.
Get your friends, have a super kick party all over it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's when it comes to the Bucks, and as somebody who they are and deserve the pat on the back for being part of that huge resurgence of independent wrestling and Japanese wrestling in like 2014, 15, 16. Like they absolutely deserve hats off for that. A lot of people made a lot more money than they would have. It's just sort of tired. Like they're 20 years younger than Chris. They're 20 years younger than Chris Jericho, and they feel like they're kind of in the same phase as him.
Yeah, I think it's those vests.
Everyone's gear was fucking fabulous. They always told me when I was coming up that, the more you invest in your gear and yourself and that look, the more important. And I think all three tag teams.
I think that they were wearing gear from maybe 2016. It didn't quite fit right around the middle. They had that sausage and saran wrap look.
They're just getting older.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting all their fashion tips from Jericho.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who they're getting it from. Before we get to the next match, they just announced Forbidden Door in the UK. That's going to be a good one. They like to implement a lot of British wrestling, so bringing New Japan and AEW there is going to be good. Casino Gauntlet match. Now, starting off with Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada, and who makes an appearance? None other than Nigel McGuinness at number 3. First time wrestling in 13 years. And I remember when he first announced it, it was because of Abdullah the Butcher and his and the Hep C diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for years, he just could not wrestle. And I guess now he finally got clearance. I mean, that return that got a huge pop in the crowd. What do you guys think about this epic return that we've been waiting to see? That fans have been waiting to see.
I was happy to see. Look, I was happy to see him. The match started out all right. The only thing I will say is they were going slower. And I mean, the first thing you're taught in wrestling school is like slow down. And you know, that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I would give to people in AEW. But they were slower than pushing molasses up a sandy hill, brother. They were. I was like, man, this is.
Oh yeah.
You know, can someone not go? Like, are they? And the none of the shit connected. No, none of the punches, none of the kicks.
Yeah, for those next four.
Breeze. It was.
For those next four wrestlers, you're right. They were slow as hell. They were slower than molasses going through that because you had Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr. coming in. Love that guy. Roderick Strong and Mark Briscoe in that order coming out before Hangman Page finally comes out. And of course, we knew he was going to be. He put himself in the match, and he was clearing house. He was doing really good for most of that match. Hangman TA running wild at All In. Bullet, what'd you think about Hangman's presence in this match?
Is
that a good or bad?
I think it was appropriate for what they're trying to move forward with him. Adam Page is a hard one for me in the sense of where I actually don't, out of all the people that are sort of homegrown at AEW, like, I know he has a huge fan base. He doesn't really resonate with me very much, similarly to like Adam Cole. Like, there are some of these wrestlers who I know they've paid their dues. They're really good. They have a great fan base, and they just don't resonate with me. So his return was more one of those like, well, I'll go back before I get to actually his return. Maverick, what are the rules of the Casino Battle Royale?
This is the Casino Gauntlet match, actually. Wrestlers are coming out at different intervals, and I believe it's first fall at the end.
It would have been so nice to know that. You're watching this match. No one goes over the top.
Nope.
It doesn't matter.
At first, it was a battle royal too, and then they changed it to a gauntlet match at the last week or two. So yeah, it would have been great to have the rules at the beginning. You're absolutely 100% right, Blaine. Like,
because then you have to settle in everybody of like, okay, 2 to 3 guys are going to wrestle, so the other 8 of you have to take a minor bump outside the ring and then sell for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Just laying on your side. Whereas, like, if it's off camera, fine. But can you imagine sitting in the first row?
Yeah.
Just watching so and so hold the back of their neck for 6 minutes straight. I'm just like, dude, that match could progress so much more if they just added a rule where people can be eliminated. Like, as simple as that. Whatever it is. If people can be eliminated.
Sorry.
And then the first person to get a pinfall, it's fine. You could figure out a way to make that work. But figure out a way to have people get eliminated as opposed to just selling for 7 minutes. It just was, I was losing my mind.
Well, you know, it's called booking. Like in other words, you know, people sit around and you say, hey, why don't we do it where it's like the first pinfall is the elimination? And you go, okay, well that's pretty good. That builds some tension. And then the other person says, but what is everyone else doing while we can't pin somebody because we have to wait for the finish? And then you go, okay, right, that's a crappy idea. Let's not do that. But instead, they're just like, no, it's fine. Guys can sell. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Let's put it on. Let's go out there and do it. Again, booking is, you know, it's at that point, it's not even an art form. It's just common fucking sense. I don't get the structure of the match. I was lucky that I understood the rules immediately because I caught the commentator saying it right as the match was starting. So I wasn't confused by that. I was confused by. Once the match started, I was like, "Oh man, these guys have a night ahead of them." Fortunately, you're your people in the front row you were worried about, they all had cricket balls, so they were busy looking at those.
Souvenir cricket balls to take home. Yeah, hey.
Yep. And I will jump back to that for someone like McGuinness, who was screwed out of a career that was really going up, to get to do Wembley in your home country in front of that kind of people, like, remove the art and how I feel about booking for that person, for that human that is Nigel McGuinness. That's a great thing. You can't help but nod your cap to the fact that he gets to, very few people get to go to Madison Square Garden or Wembley Stadium or that kind of thing. So, I always have to take my hat off and shed a tear for the baby.
Always. Before we get to the next card, let me just let you guys know right now, if you guys want to support us, do us a favor. On the bottom here on this window that you're looking at, go ahead, tag that like button like your life depended on it, because we need that. We need those championships. Also, while you're there, make sure you ring the bell and find out when Hardway, a pro wrestling story, gets uploaded every single time here on YouTube, guys. I am loving the direction we're going with this right now. Next match on the card for the American Championship, Will Ospreay defeat.
Well, hold on, let's discuss the finish to the previous match. That's the only thing I liked about the whole goddamn show.
You weren't even. You're absolutely right. After Hangman Page came out, Jeff Jarrett comes out, and I swear it's funny we're seeing Jeff Jarrett in this match, because like 20 years ago, well, not 20 years ago, but like 30 years ago, we've seen him come out on a horse that's just shitting up and down the ramp, and we're seeing him now in 2024 kicking ass in AEW.
I thought you were going to make a joke about his wife being a horse and shitting up and down.
Right, I know. There was someone
his wife looks like
one. Even keeping up with right.
I'm glad you didn't go that low. Karen Jarrett.
I knew.
There's Karen Jarrett. We like to call her Carrot.
Yeah. I knew Jarrett was going to be in this match because he and I go to the same barber, so we managed to sit there and talk for a little while.
Did you
guys go in together and pay for one haircut and just both come out looking like shit?
The same one.
You got the Farrah and I got the Fawcett.
There you go. Ricochet making his debut right after that. Straight off of WWE, like literally 3 weeks later, joining AEW. What'd you guys think?
Ricochet?
I'm excited because now we get to see more with him and Will Ospreay, but that's just the mark in me. So I don't know if we'll get that. It's possible.
Ricochet is a Mark's dream, man. And also, I don't know if you noticed, the spots he pulled during the match were the most well organized and got the biggest pops of anybody that was in the card. Like there was pop after pop after pop. The crowd was really getting into it for him.
And he was only in there a few minutes.
Very, very well.
Yeah,
when he's being hyper athletic, there's a reason why people kind of honor him at the top of that pyramid of high spot guys right now, is because he still manages to make stuff look violent.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Even with all the flips and all that. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that he was the best booked portion of the match right there. He comes running out. Obviously he's going to get the pop because now he's all elite. But the fact that he comes into the ring and just does, we had spots from the ground to the top, from the top to the ground, from the ring to the turnbuckle. He was all over the place with. It was hard kicks, hard landings, no gravity.
No.
Dude is why he is. Dude is who he is because of who he is. It was I thought that part was fantastic. I also, at this point, this is the moment when I realized that there were several angles being built from the TVs that we had been watching that were all in this match together, right? As we got towards the end, it was Page and who was Page's opponent sort of in this match when he was really going?
I want to say no, he hasn't. We didn't get to him yet. I don't know. I want to think it was Zack Sabre Jr.
Does he have heat with him? Is that who it's been?
No,
I mean, keep going
for the angle, Swerve.
Swerve. So, Swerve wasn't in this match though.
No.
But there was somebody in the match, like, because it came down to looking like, I mean, unless I stroked out here, right? But the false finishes at the end of the match were with Paige and somebody, right?
I want to say yes. I just don't know who. Outside, well, because I don't know. I don't remember if he took on anyone from this match in the last couple of weeks. I know he was in the match. Okay. He was in the bloody. Actually, he was in the Blood and Guts match for the Young Bucks. But no, I don't think there was any heat after that because he was kind of like against the Young Bucks.
He just had me convinced he was actually trying to win the match. That's what was going on.
Right, because going into it, when he made the declaration of going into the gauntlet match, his thing was he's got like that bulls. He's got his crosshairs strictly on Swerve, and that's the kind of thing they're selling is that. He wants Swerve. Swerve went into his house, did all that, and now there's a blood feud, and they've had all these matches previously, and now they're gonna try. They're eventually gonna get back up to that now, especially after the show, which we'll get to later.
The commentary was making that pretty official. So who's coming out after Ricochet?
So after Ricochet, we have Christian Cage coming out. Of course, he lost earlier in the match for the trios titles. Man, he wanted to get his attack in. He wanted to.
Oh yeah, so it was Paige and Christian Cage. Those were the two guys going at it.
That's what I'm thinking too, because that's what the most of the recent history would be. Ricochet, right off the bat, as soon as Christian Cage came out, he straight up told him just go fuck himself and just chucked him right out of the ring.
Yeah,
I love that little spot there. ZSJ got a Juju Gatami on there. I kind of popped for that. And after that little exchange, Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus, comes out after the match with the trios titles. We saw that Luchasaurus kind of like had enough of Christian Cage, so he comes out with his old music. Luchasaurus gets introduced the same way, and he goes and helps Christian win the goddamn match.
Yeah, just completely upset the whole thing, and it actually worked. That was the best finish of the night. Everything. There were at least 3 baby faces in there that you could have wanted to see win for various reasons, and you thought a heel tag team was about to break up, and nope, they went ahead and just crushed the ending. I mean, that was. I mean, is it because Jim Ross is back? Maybe we're starting to see a little bit of semblance of sanity with what's going on there. I don't know whose credit. I don't know how to give that to anyone's credit because I don't know who did it. But man, thank God they did because that part was entertaining.
For a match where you're expecting a lot, like someone new, someone big with Ricochet debuting, with Nigel McGuinness returning, you'd think one of them would get it, but then to go back and to pull off this old same storyline that's been going on for a while for this match, you're right in the fact that as a wrestling finish, that was a fucking wrestling finish. That was a wild. Bullet, what'd you think?
I mean, the patriarchy is one of my favorite things going in wrestling. I mean, Christian Cage is doing the best heel work of his life, and that's saying a lot. He's had some great heel work. So that was all fun to watch. I think it's again we're a lot of what is working in AEW right now is believing in the truth of that. You know, what's old is new again, and that kind of finish. There's been a million different versions of it done bad and done well. But when it's done well, it's like the double heel, they're going to turn on each other, and then they just double heel back.
Yeah.
And just double down on the whole thing. That's a very, very old school finish. And I think that to AEW's credit, they have some really smart workers on the roster. And they're trying to bring back and utilize some of this stuff that is underutilized when we have this rich history of whether it's the using O'Connor roll combination pin reverses, or an old school, heel breakup and all that stuff, or somebody wrestling like Tony Storm style. There's so much juice still left to squeeze, and it's not seen often enough, that it's you could just run a year of like Mid-South wrestling, taking every single storyline, and no one would catch on.
I agree. I vote yes on that.
And just the consistency of it has been one of the best in the entire company for however long that was going on.
Of the patriarchy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because going through with picking up Nick Wayne and who came in with such hype too. Like Nick Wayne instantly gets dropped in with Christian Cage, and it's worked out for everyone there. They even had a spot where Mama Wayne came in, was about to come in and help, and that got stopped. I thought the double swerve with that was actually a great way to solidify Christian as like the biggest heel in AEW, and it's actually working out for him now because losing that, it seemed like he got really desperate on it, and having him win this match will make it really great to see the next title match coming up soon, which we'll get to after that. But with Christian winning the match, we're going to go into the next one here. Will Ospreay regaining the international title against MJF and his Lex Luger 93 trunks. And what great way to get a bunch of heat with that entrance from MJF. So good. But speaking of entrances, my favorite one of the night, Ezio Auditore da Firenze, doing the voiceover for Will Ospreay's video package going in. I popped for that. The whole the writing was really good on that. The editing was good. They were promoting Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Releasing October 14th.
No, November 15th. There's no way you can
fucking miss it.
No, it's on November 15th actually.
Oh, sorry.
It was they had it on the flags. They had dancers. It was great. The match itself, very hard hitting, very good Will Ospreay match. I think. What do you think, Bullet? For a babyface goes, the match itself, what'd you think?
I think the part I was most down on about this match is that on any other night, booked in any other company, this match would have stayed far more memorable. So sometimes too much happens. Whereas Will Ospreay, MJF, they're in your top 6 to 10 wrestlers in the world. And both of them can actually cut a promo. MJF is one of the best promos in the business. He's a great heel. He's not so stupid that he's playing the American character like Hacksaw Jim Duggan did, because he couldn't do anything else. Right? He knows that he's playing it tongue-in-cheek. I think that'll work. I think maybe it's the placement on the show. I think I was just sort of let down that they didn't... that match should have mattered a little bit more and sort of felt lost in the wash. That said, they worked their ass off. The tights look great. I mean, that was America's butt. That's for sure. Are
you saying it's a tie between MJF and Captain America?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The tombstone on the outside was great. That was a great recovery. The Tiger Driver 97 or whatever it's called.
91.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great, but we were also having a laugh because it's like one of those like, I don't use that technique anymore, Dad. I once killed a man.
I once killed a man with it. I don't want to do it again. Yeah.
But MJF is smart, and he knows how to work with somebody like Ospreay, and Ospreay is smart, and he knows how to play up to his strengths as well. So I think the match was, I would give it a solid good. And then as far as where it was placed and what it was mixed in with, I would have preferred this closer to the main.
I would have made it semi-main, yeah. I would have actually made the women's title match probably semi-main personally, but that's just me. Business, what'd you think?
Yeah, I have nothing technically wrong with the match. I did think that it was. I mean, it was that combination American Japanese style match. It was worked very, very snug, very cemento. The acting in it was pretty phenomenal. It had enough of the crowd into it just because of, not just because of who the performers are, but also where they were in the world. And they took full advantage of that. The violence in it was fantastic. I actually did like the usage of the pile drivers. I miss pile drivers in wrestling in general, so I do like seeing them when they're used right. In fact, I complained a whole lot on our last show about them being used wrong. So I did like to see that done correctly. The only thing I agree with you, Bullet, and I think it's because I come from I like cards that are like 6 matches, and I think we just saw something in AEW which we don't see a lot in the previous match, which is something that means a whole lot as the finish. And this match really, with the proper booking and the proper lead up, could have, like you said, either been semi-main or main. It should have had like, okay, why are these guys fighting? Then what is the payoff if someone wins and someone loses? Like, what is all that stuff? You throw that into this match, and it's not just like another TV match where win or lose, all you're seeing is the entertainment. And then you actually have something that's pretty magical. Take that away, and all I'm left doing is saying, well, it was pretty technically sound, and the guys did their best. You know what I mean? And it's like, as a wrestler, I would find that. I mean, to the one hand, that's all you can ever really do, and on the other hand, where do you go from here? And that's the sad part. Like, what are we going to see as a result of this match for the two of them? Does it matter at all? Was this just a one-off? Why do I care? I'm always the first question I ask myself when I watch any wrestling match is, why do I care? And even if the wrestling is phenomenal and I actually enjoy some, most, or all of it, if I don't know why I care, then I don't care.
I agree.
Yeah, and that can be I mean, that's so make or break with, even when it comes to an entire promotion. Some people don't like. I happen to be a big TNA fan. Some people just don't like TNA. They put it on for 4 minutes and they're like, I don't feel like this sparks anything in me. And I think that AEW suffers from that from time to time in some of their matches, where I'm like, man, every part of me says this is good, but it's not lighting the starter flame. It's not quite actually getting me excited, which sucks because these two guys knocked it out of the park. It just wasn't positioned right.
Yeah, I probably would have put. I probably agree with where you guys would have put it, like more towards the main or something, because that's like one of the second tier titles in AEW. It's been heavily built, and yet if you took the belt away, this would have been a Dynamite match. This would have been your average Dynamite Collision match or whatever. But having it on the line, having the belt on the line, getting the heat that MJF did, going through that whole MAGA era for a while, which was actually kind of funny because it's MJF, and that made for great comedy in my book. But I think Will Ospreay is the perfect person to have the international title, because he is willing to go anywhere and everywhere it happens to be at. He's going to get booked either way. So,
right.
That works out for him really well. Next match on the card here, Mercedes Moné retaining against Britt Baker, the TBS Championship. Not much on here. Britt doing a better Guerrero spot than Mercedes. Of course, Mercedes doing the Three Amigos, where Britt does the cheating steal part of it.
Yeah, sold the fake chair shot.
That was great. But how it didn't result in a disqualification, I don't understand, but that's okay. The one thing in this match that stood out to me was Mercedes, I think, on the second rope and just doing a straight drop body slam, which I've never seen at all, and I thought that was a great spot. And it looked so impactful, and Britt landed so clean.
That was the one spot in the match that did go off clean. I thought they were mistimed several points in this match, and I'm not saying it wasn't on purpose because the match was hard hitting and they were very much in constant motion most of the time. And sometimes you want that just little bit of a, that's a style of work where you make things look a little bit off so that things look like you're fighting each other a little bit harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, the timing just seemed a little bit off. That the slam off the second rope looked. There's a reason why it looked impactful because brother,
that's a drop.
You're gonna be feeling that next week.
Yeah.
There's no work in that. That's just fucking painful.
Yeah. Sasha won back a little bit of credit with me on this match.
Mercedes.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
We're gonna help you with this.
TM. Copyright.
Right.
Mercedes, she won back a little bit of credit with me on this match only because she's not done very much in ring, and put her alone with a microphone, like I said last week, and it's a recipe for disaster. And this had some shades of that, like, she's 90 pounds soaking wet, but she can pull off like the middle rope body slam.
Yeah.
Some great presses. They had some great old school pin reversals, like I was talking about, roll-ups and O'Connells and things like that all looked good. I think the MVP of the entire night is Brian Myers, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins. He trained MJF, he trained Chris Statlander, he trained Britt Baker, he trained Max Caster, and I'm like, dude, all of these people are main eventing cards and some of the best talent in AEW, so he's probably the MVP of the show for me so far.
So then
I would say both women sort of their stocks went up in my books, but I don't want to overstate that. I've never been super high on Mercedes Moné. I've seen her work in NXT was absolutely phenomenal. Some of that just was not like you can't deny that was perfect pro wrestling, just on a that's how it's supposed to be done scale. Then of course, she went to a very timed and organized, scripted form of wrestling when Vince was in charge at WWE. She left under mysterious circumstances, and of course shows up in AEW. But I haven't really seen any work of hers that I liked. Beyond the shadow of a doubt. With Britt Baker too, I've seen as many misses as I've seen hits with her. A lot of that can be blamed on booking again. I'm not saying anything because there are people that I trust that are really high on her as well. So I'm not saying that she's bad. I'm just saying I've seen a lot of misses. You put them in the ring together tonight, and there was pretty much no misses and a whole lot of hits. And they made it look like they were really trying to stop each other. And when you see that passion follow through, I think that's when you see like, hey, we're out here trying to prove something. And I think that they earned their spot on the card as far as that goes. I thought it was as good enough of a match to earn its place on the card. I would love to see more of them now. One thing you asked me last time, Brian. You said I had Maverick. You said I had some questions. Does AEW, do they do house shows? Like, do they do spot shows?
No, not as much as far as like that goes with like development and stuff. They usually just send them to Ring of Honor for a match. But no, it's like house shows are kind of more rare on the schedule, mainly because they don't want wrestlers going for 300 days a year. So but when they do it, they kind of put a little bit of hype on that for sure.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, right? Because the reason you don't want their wrestlers going for that long is because when you do the types of moves they do, you can't go 300 days a year, right? When you are working a match, when I say working a match, I mean, doing what you're supposed to be doing as far as like using the basics to get the crowd behind you. If you, for example, most of the people that listen to this show are not going to be casual listeners. You will know what I'm talking about when I say when you go to a WWE house show, the wrestling that you see in the ring is very different than the wrestling you see on a pay-per-view from them. The height you're gonna see a match with a lot of work, You're going to see a match with a lot of predictability as far as the spots go. But the trick is, the reason the crowd won't stop screaming is because they're doing them all at the exact right psychological time, and that gets you excited. So you leave thinking you saw a show that was better than a pay-per-view. And that's the psychology of wrestling. But when you're doing something like AEW does, which is much more acrobatic, I don't want those guys working 300 days a year either. But the point I was originally making was that the two of them would be behooved to work a program together on the road, right? Like the old days. That's how you get good against an opponent traditionally, is you work them, 100 times before you get your first pay-per-view shot. WWE is very, very good at that, and that's why I was asking about house shows. If the way they do it is sending them to Ring of Honor, then send them to Ring of Honor for a while, because I would love to see the rematch between them, and I would love to see it with the extra polish that could be put there. Because I did not dislike what I saw in this match.
I think as far as agents go, Dustin Rhodes would have probably been the perfect person to help them with that. He did this thing. He put together the match with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker in their street fights, and it really paid off for that. So having Dustin Rhodes, especially having helped out with Britt Baker before, that probably would have been great for Mercedes. And you bring up the type of wrestling that they do, that you don't want to go 300 days a year. To me, that tells me that that's kind of what Mercedes is transitioning from the grind of being on the road for WWE for so long, leaving under whatever mysterious circumstances they were, possibly something which we won't get into, but then going to Japan, getting training there with Stardom and winning the NJPW title there, starting up, and then going up against someone who was very prominent in Ring of Honor like Willow Nightingale, and then fast forwarding now to AEW. I think that it's a long process for her to get over, but you're still seeing the how do I say this without sounding weird, the WWE stink on it, if that makes sense.
I think that's fair.
Like you're seeing it with the mic skills, you're seeing it with the in-ring, and it's not translating well. It doesn't seem like she's realizing that a lot of these wrestlers in AEW are the same type of wrestlers that she wrestled in Stardom in Japan and all over Japan for that. So like, it's the same caliber. She's just not realizing that.
I do think though that this match was a good first step in proving that, like, hey, she can find her way to belonging there. And, another great first step for everybody out there to take would be to click that subscribe button down below and click the bell for notifications, just in case we ever pop on and start spouting off and you want to listen to us. And also like us if you like us, or if you don't like me but like everybody else, like us all the same.
There you go. Next match on the card here. Still got two more matches. Darby Allin, Jack Perry retaining over Darby Allin in the coffin match. I really like what they're doing. We're
gonna pretend this match did not happen. We're just gonna go to the title match and we're gonna pretend this didn't happen. I don't have it in me. I just don't have the image of this bullshit tonight.
You just do not like Jack Perry or Darby Allin.
I don't like anything that happened. I don't like. Okay, you pour out a bag of glass that nobody can see on TV, and it doesn't cut anybody up at all, and nobody knows what's going on, and the crowd tries to pop it, then they realize they're confused, and then so you got to get Sting to come out? What the fuck? That match was the stupidest piece of shit I've ever seen. They should cut it from their records and act like it never happened, and that's what we're going to do, because I can't right now. I don't have it in me.
You couldn't. What do you say?
The main event was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Here's what I will say about the match. I like Jack Perry's direction. Darby Allin with thumbtacks glued on his face, which was funny because Jack Perry goes to slap him and he hurts his hand. Like, what the fuck? That's great. Fuck CM Punk chants in the crowd, which got me over. Pretty brutal match, but yeah, all in all, Young Bucks coming out with a gas tank kind of didn't make sense. Sting coming out for the save
doesn't make sense.
That's the only part of the match to me that did not make sense. More so
it looked like they were dousing him in bourbon.
If I came out to the ring with thumbtacks all over my face, are you gonna slap me in the face?
No.
No.
But I'm not Jack Perry.
Why? Because I have thumbtacks
on my face,
and you're not a fucking idiot. Jesus Christ!
It looks so casual too.
You know what? Great. I wish they did fucking set the fire on fire and the whole fucking thing went up. That's what I was hoping for.
Thousands dead today as Wembley Stadium suffered a terrible pro wrestling tragedy.
Right.
One of those accident botches. Final match.
That'll make botchamania for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But now it's time for your main event of the evening. One of the sort of more epic main events that AEW's had all year. Bryan Danielson winning the AEW World Championship over Swerve Strickland. And this match had, as for a main event, this had everything. This had the heat with the family. This had little kids crying. This had Brie Bella being shocked in the crowd. And Swerve was right there with Bryan Danielson's bloody ass face just stomping the shit out of him right in front of him. That was a great spot to me.
Yeah, let's save the finish as a whole separate piece of the conversation. So we're just gonna pluck it right out of the match. We're gonna put it over here, and we're just not gonna talk about it until we get through the other stuff, because
there was a lot.
The wrestling in this match was phenomenal.
Yes,
Danielson was selling his ass off. This was one of those 90-10 matches where you have, I mean, he by the end he was beaten a cripple. You know what I mean? Swerve was just Danielson did so much in this match to make Swerve look like a monster, like someone who was willing to cut you and kill you and eat your lunch. And so really hats off to Danielson in this regard. He's always been a top guy, always been a tremendous wrestler. His ability to look big and small, his ability to take a beating and give one out, all of it was on display tonight. You had really great producing, like you said, children crying, all that stuff. I mean, I can't take that away, right, from something when I see something that's actually done well.
And it's not all the time.
Let's pick the finish up and let's put the finish back in. What the fuck? What does this mean now? Is AEW done? Is it all over?
I don't know. That's the thing too. Danielson's retiring this year. That's still happening.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not under contract right now.
I had kids don't gamble, especially if it's smart money. But smart money and AEW don't usually go together. I was thinking in my heart of hearts that if they knew what they were doing, they would keep the belt on Swerve.
Right?
Because it would have quadrupled his heat as over as Danielson is. And he's doing way better than I even thought he would have when he won the title. And maybe that's just because I hadn't seen very much of him, but his sort of rise and run with their belt, he's absolutely killing the game, and I didn't see a reason to shut that down yet. I think that he absolutely needs it more than Danielson does.
Well, then what? Shut it down. You shut it down with a guy who's going to take the belt and leave. You talk about smart money. They just turned the championship into Disney bucks. What is the point of doing all this? I don't understand.
And you already have a storyline in Hangman that you guys have not given us a payoff for. You have you've had weeks. Yeah, they can't. That's the fucked up part. They fucking can't now because fucking Christian Cage won that goddamn battle or gauntlet match, and
that part.
Yeah, we don't have that. So what are you gonna do now that you have the belt off of Swerve? Are you just gonna have him go after Swerve now? What's the point?
Well, that's what they have to do if they're even gonna make sense out of anything and continue. If they continue an angle, Yeah, I mean,
Right.
you're absolutely right. Not only does it not make sense to give the belt to a guy who's retiring, but it also, again, by the way, as they did that with Sting, but it
Oh yeah.
also, I mean, you've literally devalued your title. I mean, less than nothing. So now, the only thing that made sense was to do this brutality and keep the belt on Swerve, which would have made him super heel. And then
I
you have Adam Page mixed up in this thing, and the only reason it still makes sense with Christian Cage winning is now you have the spoiler, right? This is classic booking. You have the dude who deserves the shot, who's coming after the guy who really is a challenge, but you also have the spoiler. This is great booking. The only problem is you need a belt that's worth something.
You need a prize, a trophy.
Just it's not even pesos anymore, man. Like it's not even yen. The belt is just it's Disney bucks, man. Funny money.
Coke cans on leather.
Yeah, exactly. And now that you don't have that as the reward, as the prize or trophy that you're going for with these, you're not getting you're not getting the payoff anymore. You screwed yourself out of that because you want to keep Bryan Danielson on board for as long as possible. And
it sucks too because they're both really talented.
Yeah.
And they had a really good match.
Yeah.
It just, and I think in my heart of hearts, I knew they were going to book the finish, quote unquote, wrong, unless they've swerved me somehow and they have something amazing in the tank. Like they could have had the exact same match, and then you just tweak that finish just a tiny bit,
just a little bit.
It just didn't have to be. Danielson's story is better if he loses.
Yeah. If it was me, it would have been a Broadway. So you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah. But no, I thought I thought you're right. The match had great wrestling in it. Of course, Danielson being the god of pro wrestling that he is, and with Swerve carrying himself the way he did with the title, I think that was just really like it was a perfect combination. And yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens on Wednesday. But if Bryan retires, like they're just gonna vacate it like they did with the tag titles before with Sting. So
Can we talk about WWE next show?
What do you want to talk about WWE next show?
Here's what I say. We should just tell the fans we're headed to NXT territory.
Absolutely.
And
new guys,
we have
NXT.
A couple of special guests.
We're doing that next week. That's for sure. Then, okay.
Well, we're doing it next week if our schedules line up. But we're gonna cover NXT for at least a week or two. One of them, we're gonna have some fun with somebody. So,
okay. Well, that's a good way. That's a good thing to end it on. Then, guys, once again, please make sure you like, you subscribe, you hot tag that like button, ring that bell at the end because, guys, we want to get over. We want to be able to get the titles here soon on the algorithm. So please like, subscribe, do all that, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week we're gonna start on NXT, talk about the new guys, talk about what we loved about NXT, what we like going into it now. They've definitely been improving, especially after a really bad time, but we'll get into that next time. Anyways, we'll have a special guest next week. I'm excited. I wonder who the next guest is going to be, and we're going to announce that hopefully soon. So, guys, thank you for joining us. And once again, on Hardway, a pro wrestling story in a world of Ric Flairs, please be a Dusty Rhodes. See you guys later.
Later, guys.
All right.